As was widely expected, the Reserve Bank raised interest rates by 0.25% this month. And certainly that was the forecast of many economists and market commentators that we would see that rate rise. Certainly not great for the property market, but fundamentally, over the last 12 months, even though we have seen rate rises, the housing market in Australia, and particularly in Perth, has done very, very well. Perth housing prices are up in double figures over the last 12 months, so while the rate rise isn't great news, given the low supply and strong demand we have, I don't think it'll have any significant impact on the Perth housing market. In the month of October, we saw CoreLogic report that house prices in Perth went up 1.6%, and that's now 10.8% over the last 12 months, which is very strong growth, in fact the strongest growth in Australia. And we're certainly seeing that out there in the market. The median prices on houses in Perth is now $575,000, and units is $400,000. Now, interestingly though, we are still the second cheapest in the country after Darwin. So there is still very strong demand and limited supply, and given how relatively affordable house prices are, certainly compared to other major capital cities around the country, it certainly still looks like a good time ahead for people who have property in Perth or are thinking of buying again. Listings in the Perth property market are still at very low levels. We're seeing around 5,000 properties advertised for sale, and in fact in the first week of November that's actually dropped below that figure to just over 4,800. And that's reflected in the volume of sales. We saw in the last week over 1,167 properties sold. That's very high numbers, particularly when we've got low levels of stock. And that's been seen in the days on market. At the moment, the median days to sell in Perth is 8 days. It's hard to believe that half the properties are selling in just over that first week. So one of the reasons that while we are seeing these continued price rises despite the increase in interest rates is simply this very strong demand, stock selling quickly and not enough supply. Once again in October, we saw rents continue to rise in the Perth property market. We saw a 1.7% increase, and the median rent now in Perth sits at $590 a week, and that's made up of $600 a week for houses and $550 for units. At the end of October, there was 1,719 properties for rent, and that's very, very low levels of stock. And that's been that way now for some time, and that's why we're seeing those rent rises. The median days to lease is 14 days, and that's generally in the rental market, that's quite a quick time to lease. So overall, we anticipate that we're going to continue to see that rent increases through the market just because there's too much demand and not enough supply. We saw a number of suburbs perform particularly well in October. When we saw in terms of median price growth, we saw Mosman Park up the most at 3.8% for the month. We saw South Perth, Manning and Spearwood all up 2.7%, and we saw Coolangatta up 2.5%. So once again, a broad spectrum of suburbs, certainly those near the water this month were particularly strong, but overall throughout the Perth market, we're certainly still continuing to see price rises. October saw another month of very strong demand and lots of buyers actively out in the marketplace. Our buyers agents are telling us they're still regularly seeing multiple offers on properties going at prices certainly well above asking in some instances. It's just important if you're a buyer out there in the market, you have your finance pre-approved and in place. That will certainly give you a much more competitive advantage when sellers are getting multiple offers. They're looking for offers that are secure and likely to settle. So a tip for the month, certainly if you're in the home buying market, talk to our brokers at Momentum Wealth, get your finance pre-approved, and that's certainly going to set you up in a much better position when you're looking to buy that home or investment property. If you'd like more information on what's happening in the market, or you'd like to learn more about investing in property, please give our office a call on 9221 6399 or visit our website momentumwealth.com.au.